Hi, everybody. Welcome to Almost 30. It's Linz. This is a solo. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new to Almost 30, what's up? We've been doing this for about 9 years now, going on 9 years. Krista and I are best friends, business partners, and truly have been assigned a mission here. So if you're here during a transition like your 20s to your 30s, man, you are in the right place. I hope that you find comfort and joy and humor in our episodes and our Instagram and our forthcoming book. It's coming for you, but we're really just here to support you during any transition in your life. We were inspired by ours, going through that late 20s period that just seems so insanely crazy and hard, and it flips your world upside down. But we are here to tell you on the other side, it gets better and better and better, and it is so purposeful. So all that to say, I'm glad you're here. It's a solo. We have different types of episodes on Almost 30. We have solo episodes where just me, just Krista. We have K&L solos, and we have interviews. So you'll find something that you love in our almost 700 plus episodes here on Almost 30. Today's episode, I wanted to talk about when our identities die so that we can become more of who we are. I have been through and I'm currently going through a season of my life where I feel like there are parts of my identity, there are actual like fully formed identities of who I think I am that are expired, that are wanting to really die off and shed and reveal more of who I am. And that sounds really fun and exciting, but it's also really hard and can feel like you are dying completely. So I wanted to talk about my experience. I also wanted to kind of walk through how I am looking at this, how I am experiencing this, and how I'm able to lean more into the welcoming in of who I really am, more of her, because I think that's really the point. So here we go. If you're watching on YouTube, hi, what's up? We have 3 camera angles, and you're going to see every aspect of me today, including the leg that I shaved yesterday for the first time in 2 weeks. So enjoy that. All right, when parts of us have to die to become more of who we are, let me bring you up to speed. I am a new mom. When I'm recording this, my son is 9 months old, and I have over the last 9 months, even before he was born, when I was pregnant, the dying off of identities already begun. This shift from mother to maiden, as we see now on Instagram as kind of a trending content idea, is so accurate and does not accurately put into words like the breadth of just how significant this transition is, how intense it is, how beautiful it is, how heartbreaking it can be, how life-giving. It's everything all at once. And so in that transition, I've had to really look at parts of myself that I have become so attached to, so identified with, that seemingly have been asking me to no longer be and to transition out. Some of those identities include podcaster, just solely a podcaster, entrepreneur, creative. That is one that is just morphing. I'm not leaving the podcast, but I've identified so strongly with this. Like, I founded Almost 30 with Krista. I am the host of Almost 30 with Krista. We are community leaders. We are content creators. We are creating and launching all the time. We are traveling, we are recording, just this whole series of accomplishments and goings on that have fueled me and seemingly made me who I am is now shifting. I can no longer do and be all of that and also be a mom right now, especially in these early years with my child. And I've had to just come to terms with that. I've had to have conversations with Krista and other people close to me that just really update them on like what my capacity is, where I feel my heart pulled right now. And it's been really healing to have those conversations, be seen, be heard, and be held, and be accepted for what I'm going through and how I'm really feeling. Other identities include, oh man, this wild, random, kind of does whatever she wants, creative, which to me, I'm like, oh, she's dying? She's dying for sure, but there's a new creative that wants to be born and come through. The new creative is taking her creation work more seriously. The new creative has gone through the process of growing a child inside of her, birthing the child, and now raising a child, which gives you just this incredible experience around creativity, creating something, and how you move through it, the patience you need to have, the respect for the process, the patience. So a new creative wants to be born rather than what I felt like I was before was kind of this like, just willy-nilly creator. Sometimes I would finish things, sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I would be scared by my vision and I kind of like retreat over to this other easier vision. But now I have visions in my heart that are so clear, so strong. I cannot run away. I can no longer be afraid. I really have to double down on what I've learned about creating and actually embody it now. No more messing around. So while that's exciting, it's also kind of intimidating me that I have to usher in this new, no bullshit creator. And she's going to do big things. And I just have to tend to that part of me that feels like, am I capable of that, worthy of that? Can I hold that? Higher self says, I can. Lower self says, I don't know. So we just kind of tend to those parts always. And the other identity that I feel like, actually the last two identities that I feel like are dying, the identity that is so attached to what my body has always looked like, what my body has always done for me. In years past, I feel like for the last, say, 10 years, I've just really been someone that has been comfortable with my body, that has like, I think used my body in a way that it's like forward with my body. What does that mean? I am comfortable wearing whatever I want. I feel like I use that to connect with people. I use that to express myself. And I think with this new body after birth, after being pregnant, I'm just identifying with my vessel in a completely different way. And not to say that I won't, quote, wear what I want, whatever, but there's a deeper respect and more intentionality around how I move with my body now. And I just feel like it's brought me into a deeper reverence for the healing time my body needs, the changes that it's going through, a reverence for the fact that it's never going to truly be the same after birth. And so I've had to kind of, consciously uncouple from that part of me that wants to over-identify with like, I got a body yaddy and I want to show it off, where it's almost like a more inward experience where I have deep love and respect for my body, what it's done, what it continues to do, what it's been through. And I see my sexy as different now. And so that's changed how I move about the world. And that's just different for me. So it's not good or bad. I'm just having a different experience in this body. And to be quite honest, it's been liberating and kind of a relief not to be always thinking about like what I look like. So that's one. And then the last one, I have definitely placed a lot of my worth in how much I do, how much I share, how much content I create. Just the do. I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate to this, like just being obsessed with your to-do list and feeling a freaking high when you complete a to-do list, when you get all the things checked off in a day, in a month, in a year, whatever, you reach all your goals, which high isn't inherently bad. But I think what I'm speaking to is this over-identification with that to-do list and leaning more into motherhood, which is this like more of an abyss of sorts where every day is different. Every day presents new challenges, new developments, new surprises that for me to place all of my worth in the to-dos would inherently take me away from being so present to what's in front of me, to my son in front of me, to what he's doing now today. He just started crawling the other day. And so I've had to kind of reckon with the part that loves to accomplish, that loves to say to the world, hey, here's a new thing that you can consume. And what that means is I've just been, much less consistent. I feel like I don't have like a continuity within what I'm sharing or presenting to the world, and just being okay with that. Being okay with my personal life making so much sense and just having so much purpose, but my professional life feeling a bit unclear, a little bit unknown in terms of the future, and a bit inconsistent. And that's not like my normal. So I've really had to get used to that. And again, it feels like a part of me is dying. And that dying process, I just want to speak to for a second, because the dying process can feel like that. It can feel as though you're dying. And so when change wants to transform you on a deep, deep, deep level, it will feel so much more intense and dramatic and death-like than it really is. That's not to say your experience, I'm not downplaying what you're experiencing, but I just want to remind you, if you're in it, that it can feel like you're dying, but you are not. Actually, what is happening is there are parts of you that want to now be more embodied, that want to be birthed. And it really takes us surrendering to the death process to experience more of that life. The death process also feels like loss. There's a grieving that happens. We are losing parts of ourselves that we have known for so long, that we have identified with, that we have honestly been so comfortable with, that we've been friends with, family with, and they are dying off. And so I've had to really allow myself to grieve, create space for, man, I miss that part. Or man, like I want to honor that part that's no longer. Like I kind of want to have like a funeral, a pseudo funeral for that part. Like how can I kind of commemorate what that identity for me was for that period of time? And that's been really important. I don't know if we take that time. So I'm just giving you permission that if you are in this death cycle, that you actually take time to grieve, because your identity truly will never be what it is or what it was before the loss. So as you are losing this part, knowing that it will never be what it was before can be kind of a harsh reality. But again, we have to remember that this is the alchemy of change. This is when change really wants to transform us, and we must allow. We must.
I was just going through my supplement cabinet and I just realized I am a Symbiotica super fan. My lineup is Symbiotica products. I just wanted to share what I'm taking right now and just like give you a brand that you can trust, a brand that is obsessed with high quality ingredients. They are very, very obsessed with where they are sourcing their ingredients. They're very transparent about it. Their products are effective and safe. They don't have any seed oils or preservatives or toxins. This is very important. Lots of supplements have fillers and they are just committed to the best quality. But I am taking right now the vitamin D3K2. It is a liposomal delivery. I just squirt 12 little squirts underneath my tongue every single day. And this is incredible for immunity, especially. It also has CoQ10 in it. This is also great for strong bones, which I'm thinking about just as I'm getting older. And it supports cardiovascular health by reducing arterial plaque. So I'm also taking the liposomal vitamin B12 and B6. This is great for cellular energy and mood. I've noticed an increase in my energy. It's great also for heart health. So I'm taking the inflammatory health. This has pea and curcumin and nobiletine, and it's great for just like a systemic rejuvenation. It helps inhibit inflammation throughout the body. The curcumin is so strong. It's amazing. It helps with joint comfort and mobility. I've been experiencing like some joint pain carrying a baby, you know the deal. But it's been super, super helpful. So love the inflammatory health. And y'all, they have a new product. Their creamer, their nootropic creamer. Honestly, I think they like heard my prayers. So this formula is very unique. It uses healthy fats from coconuts, amino acids, and bioavailable minerals to provide a really slow, steady release of caffeine. So I pair this with my coffee or my matcha. It also has organic vanilla and coconut extracts. Like the taste is so yummy, but this is also incredible for your cognitive health. I've just noticed an improvement in mood and attention. I'm able to like really optimize my mornings with this. And again, slowing the release of caffeine is what I'm after. So the nootropic creamer, so good. So for our listeners, as always, we have a discount on symbiotica.com/almost30. You can use the code almost30 for 20% off site wide. So that's cymbiotika.com/almost30 and use the code almost30 ALMOST30 for 20% off site wide.
In this process of change, I've had to come to terms with the fact that this different that is being ushered in, this different way of being, this different experience, the different daily experience isn't bad. And I think pulling up and out, I really had to get honest about the human experience. As humans, we often experience change as bad rather than assuming that it is for our greatest good. So when I am present and conscious enough in the moment to be like, this is different. And instead of going to like this is great. I'll find like just a more accessible feeling, which is like, this is neutral. Different is neutral. Different is not always bad. Different can be neutral. And best case scenario, different is good. Different is for my greatest good. So in those moments where you feel a shift, where you're having a different experience than what you're used to, and the initial, I think, physical feeling for me is discomfort, a little dissociation, dysregulation in my nervous system. And how can I disengage with this idea that I have that different is bad, different is hard, different is challenging, and just kind of see it objectively as like, okay, this is different, but this is totally neutral. This is just a new experience. And that's been really, really helpful to remove the charge. The charge that we are experiencing in a moment, I believe, comes from what we feel about it. And what we feel about it comes from a past experience, comes from what we were taught, maybe socially, maybe in our early childhood years. There can be many influences, but this is just what we are projecting onto the moment. But what if we can be so powerful to pull back our projection and just allow different to be different and nothing else? Not good, not bad, just neutral. And that's been really, really helpful. Another thing that's been really helpful in moving through this change, this death process into newness, new life, new experience is, yes, there is loss. And I mentioned having a true grieving process. But can I also look at and really acknowledge what I'm gaining in this experience? So acknowledging the losses and how you create space to grieve, but can you literally say, write down, in some way celebrate the gains of this new experience? So for me, going from, married gal, entrepreneur, able to travel whenever, work out whenever, do her thing, just having a lot of freedom and flexibility and autonomy. And now taking care of a child, giving birth, being a mother, being a wife, being, woman of the household, baby. And it's different. But what have I gained? Oh man, I have gained a confidence, a quiet, peaceful, like rock hard confidence in who I am as a caretaker, who I am as a partner. And I didn't realize that that type of confidence is one that gives me so much joy, so much life, so much energy. So that's been a major gain. Another gain has been taking the focus off of me in the everyday and placing it on, so much of it on my child and what his needs are in these first few years of life, which are just so important to be able to support and nurture a child. And it's been a relief, it's been a way for me to recognize parts of my ego. It's been a way for me to take the focus and emphasis off like fixing myself and doing the most and just pouring into my child, pouring into my family, my husband. And that's been a nice shift in balance as opposed to kind of where I was the last few years, which was like very self-focused, but in a healthy way, I think. But I like how it's kind of swinging the other way, and hopefully we can find, even more balance in the years to come. But that's been a gain. And there's many more. I would like to write them down for myself. I want you to as well. Yes, grieve the losses, but what are you gaining with this change? And then finally, in how I'm navigating this, it's like, how can I romanticize the change happening in my life? How can I romanticize the death cycle and the birth cycle that is seemingly the theme of my life right now? And I'm a performer, actress, like that's been my whole life. And so to add a little, drama to anything is really fun. So I think for me to romanticize this time in my life has been just hilarious and fun and really takes me out of the sometimes heaviness that change can bring. And so, for example, how can I usher myself in a more formal, ceremonial way into new motherhood? Um, what I did the other month to commemorate this time was have an entire day dedicated to the like nourishment and softness and just pleasure for me. That was like a spa day for the most part. It also involved like eating my favorite food and being outside in nature, but I had like a really juicy, long ass spa day. And I just declared and had the intention that this is a day that I want to dedicate to me, the mother, the homemaker, the wife, for all that she has done so far, all that she is now, and all that she is becoming. And it was beautiful. And I really felt like from that point on, I had like a newfound respect for myself. I respected myself, but I was like, no, we are like kind of putting a stake in the ground. Like from this point on, like this new identity or identities are going to be like fully embraced by me and respected. And I just really urge you to bring in ceremony, celebration, and romanticizing these moments. Like make them bigger than life, make them more beautiful and decorated than maybe they feel in the moment. You deserve that. You deserve it. For the last part of this chat, I just wanted to acknowledge the parts of our identities that could be totally rocked during these death cycles and birth cycles. First, change can totally rock your relational identity. And honestly, like of the 5 that I'm going to share, all 5 were affected during this transition from maiden to mother, if you will. Relational identity, so how you relate to other people. How I relate to my husband is different. How I relate to my sisters is now different. One just became a mother as well. How I relate to my own mom is different. How I relate with Krista is different. And the list goes on. My relationships were rocked in mostly amazing, beautiful ways. But for example, with my husband, amazing, beautiful ways, and also kind of hard. We've had honest conversations around the fact that, I don't necessarily on a daily basis have the capacity I used to for my husband. I'm trying my best. He knows that. He acknowledges that. He's trying his best. But this season is just different. I might be going to bed earlier. I might be just, tending to our son at any given moment, any hour of the day or night, when normally maybe I would be available for us to be together and spending quality time. Our quality time has definitely reduced. We try to have our date nights twice a month at least, but inevitably it is harder. Things have shifted, priorities have shifted, though both of our intentions are to keep our marriage at the center of it all, even before baby. But that doesn't mean that I'm able to like dedicate the same amount of time to like us when we would spend alone time together. So it's just different. So we have to be in constant communication. That's what I'll say about your relational identity being shaken. Communication, communication, communication. How can you more clearly, honestly, and from your heart communicate with the people that you feel like the relationship might be shifting? Speak to it, and then also express your own desires in this change. What do you desire for the future? How would you like to feel? Checking in with the other person, how they're feeling. It is a call to connect even deeper. Even though you feel like it might be straining, it's a call to connect deeper. Second identity that can be rocked is your professional identity. Yeah, I mean, the way I view my quote work in the world completely shifted after I became a mother. And I'm still kind of wrestling with it, maybe dancing with it rather than wrestling, but it's different. I am different. And so I think when it comes to my professional identity, I've kind of divorced myself a little bit from it, where I'm like, oh man, like who I am is not what I do for work. And I didn't realize that before becoming a mom, I was kind of identifying with that. Someone was like, so, who are you? Whatever. I'm like, I'm a podcaster. I'm a creative. I'm this, I'm that. And yeah, I'm just so much more than that. So it's been a welcome divorce from my professional identity, but it doesn't make it easier to kind of reckon with it. So what I would say about the professional identity, let it happen. Let whatever chasm that might be created in the change happen, and be able to like just see it zoomed out a little bit. What is this showing me about my relationship with my professional identity? What is this showing me about what I do in the world? Is there a deeper desire that I can actually bring to the forefront and do professionally? Can I take a break? Can I reevaluate how I show up professionally, how much I'm working, the way that I'm working, who I'm working with? I think it's just a really good time to reevaluate. Okay, third identity that is just rocked during change is your financial identity, potentially. And I do a lot of work in therapy recently around my relationship with money and this shift in identity, because I am not bringing in as much money as I used to. And it's been so interesting to look at that and be okay with that and know that it's a season, but also know that it might not just be a season, it might be longer than a season, and also lean on my husband. And this can be a controversial topic, so I will just speak from my experience, but I one of my lessons in this life is to be able to lean on in this case my husband, where my worth is not in what I can contribute financially necessarily. My worth in our relationship and how we contribute is so much about who I am as a wife and a mother, and creating a home, and what I bring into the home, and the energy I create, and the softness I invite him into, and how I support him in the work that he does, and how we collaborate on that, how his successes are my successes are his successes. It's just such a lesson for me. And Kristen and I did an episode on the 80-80 marriage, which I highly recommend checking out. It's a book. But I've just had to relate to money differently. Not easy, because I think a lot of us are wrapped up in our money and worth relationship, but it's been a confronting change that I know is good for me. I'm not exactly sure of the outcome, but I'm trusting of it. And I know that I am not the money that I bring in, or the money in my bank account, or what have you. I try my best to respect money, to be honest about like how money makes me feel. Money makes me feel great. We love money. Money allows us to do things, invest in things, create opportunities. Like, it's amazing. And also, it's not everything of who I am. Another identity that's shaken, spiritual. And only you can really understand that, identify that for yourself. So I won't try to define that for you, but your spiritual identity, like how you relate to the unseen, how you relate to God, to the universe, whatever you want to call it, can be shaken in times of change, can be strengthened in times of change if you choose. You might have like a newfound belief and understanding and respect for a higher power. How cool. You might be doubting it more than ever. How cool, right? Just respect and have as little charge around it or judgment around it as possible, because this is your spiritual journey and path. No judgment. It might not look like the girl on Instagram who's sharing about her shamanic experience with X, Y, and Z. Who cares? This is yours. It's very specific. And I think you're called in these intense times of change to embrace it more than you judge it. Lastly, physical identity. I mentioned this earlier with how I relate to my body. But yeah, your physical identity can change during these seasons of change. So maybe physically what you look like, perhaps you've gone through an ailment, a disease, a really intense traumatic experience that changes your body. Maybe who relates to your body has changed, and then you relate to your body, and that change, how you relate to your body changes. It can be very nuanced, very complex. But let's just remember that we are not just solely our bodies. We are mind, body, and spirit. Easier said than done, I understand. But just having a lot of grace and reverence for this body who has brought you to this point in your life, literally step by step, moment by moment, has always been an antenna to the energy around you, has always been sending you messages, supporting you, wanting to find balance, wanting to heal. So if we can just take this time that feels a little turbulent and have a little powwow with our bodies and be like, yo, I am with you. I am listening. I am here. What would you have me do? What would you have me eat? What would you have me, how would you have me exercise and move? What environments would you want me to be in? Just have a little powwow. And this can be a meditation or prayer or journaling. The body will speak. I promise you. Maybe on a walk, the body will speak. But you got to give it space and you have to listen. So those are the 5 different aspects of identity that I feel like were just and are rocked during times of change. Your relational, professional, your financial, your spiritual, and your physical identities. So I'm just sending you so much love as you navigate times of change. It is part of being human. It is a part of what creates a really dynamic, fun, exciting, full experience here on Earth. And I think if we can have a bit more fun, a bit more levity, a bit more neutrality around these times, then these deaths within the change and the births within the change can be much more fulfilling and somewhat enjoyable. So I hope this episode landed with you. If you are going through a death and birth cycle that you want to share with me, please DM me on Instagram at Lindsey Simsick. I am in my DMs. I would love to hear. I would love if you shared this episode with a friend or on social media. We need to be having these conversations. You are absolutely not alone. I am here for you. Krista's here for you. We're so thankful that you trust us. Thanks for listening. This has been a solo with me, Lindsey, on when parts of your identity want to die and shed and fall off and never be again, and new parts of you, more of who you are, want to become. You're doing amazing. If you want to learn more about Almost 30, ways we can support you, other episodes, our partners, and more, you can go to almost30.com and stay tuned. In 2025, we have our book coming out at the beginning of summer. We're so excited. We're going to go on a tour. We're going to see you guys in person. We cannot wait. So stay tuned for that. And look out for just things that Krista and I are creating on our own. It is, a joy to see each other kind of evolve. I am eventually launching a new brand around motherhood. Krista has incredible retreats. She does one-on-one coaching and other experiences. So check out itskrista.com. And again, follow me on Instagram at Lindsey Simsick. DM me. Would love to hear from you. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one.